Alright, after 3 days of the closed beta, I have compiled a list with things that I actually have to say about this game. So I'm just gonna have the game running in the background. I don't know how to actually figure out. Oh, I couldn't dishook the comment, so I guess we're gonna be just listening to me. But so small disclaimer before we start. I've only played for like 1.5 of the days, and I've only played Zealot, and I haven't played all of the weapons and everything like that. So with that said, the other part of the disclaimer is that it's still a beta, so it's by no means finished. So even though I might bring up a lot of bad points, I still think there's a lot of good potential, and well, most of the bad points are going to be focused on things that I think they will fix, or I think that they need to fix for it to be successful. But I'm fairly certain that most of these things will be fixed, at least the important ones, considering their previous, what's it called? The previous installment, which is Vermintide. So, without further ado, so I'm gonna go over the design aesthetics and map, and so the map design is fairly linear, and they have a decent amount of side paths. Sometimes when you quick join a game, it's a little bit hard to find your way, but other than that, even though the aesthetic is quite a bit samey, it's always in a different layout with the different parts of it, so it's actually doesn't feel like you're going through the same corridor 8 times in a row in a mission. So that's actually good, but and it's not that hard to actually find your way back to where you're going. Yeah. So the objectives, even though we have, I think I saw 3 missions. One was assassination, kill a boss, which is fairly standard at least in most kinds of games that have the functionality for it. And well, it's quite easy. The other one was the restarting with where you have to carry the coolant rods. It's a little bit harder to find your way up and to spot which path is the best to get to the next one. But other than that, it's also quite easy. So, and then you had the collecting things, which was very well done. It was clear where you're going, clear what you should do, but still difficult to get from point A to point B, but not because you don't know where the stairs are. Might just be me who got confused in few missions. If you've seen the previous gameplay or the rest of the gameplay that I'm gonna upload after this, because I'm gonna upload basically every game I played except one, so. But that's what I have to say about the maps for now. Still, it's only 3 in the beta, so. And they might not even be in the full game, or there might be other versions of it or updated and whatnot, so yeah, I think it has a lot of potential. The objectives, well, the danger there is being, well, just doing the same thing as everything else. I mean, it's gonna be enjoyable anyway, but need different things so that people don't get worn out too quick. And the aesthetics, the art style and the darkness, the grittiness, it actually really immerses me. It feels like every single story and passage of everything that I've read about 40K, it actually feels like they've done it justice. It feels dark, gritty, and get a little feeling of despair. So that's also very good. And the music, it conveys the feeling of everything very good too, and it does so in a very unintrusive way. I didn't even realize it until actually my wife told me that she had a feeling for it, and I realized that yeah, I do too, but I hadn't even noticed. And after that I started noticing it, of course, but that is actually a very good point. So the characters. The first thing that we need is longer beards, because we need to at least have one character that has a longer beard than I have in a video game. That's a must. Jokes aside, the variety is very good. I imagine that there's gonna be more when the game actually comes out, but we need to know who is who. Like, if I look over towards someone, doesn't feel distinct enough to know which class everybody is. Well, the Ogryn is quite hard to miss, but the other three, it's kind of easy to miss. Like, for example, the priest could have a big ass tome on his hip that always glows, that is in every single part of his attire, and I don't know, the Psyker could have something along the lines of, I saw it had a little bit of a Sienna style to it with the color, but I didn't feel like I always could pick it out, but yeah. So something like that needs to be better. I guess they're gonna expand on everything so it actually gets that feel too, because that's how Vermintide works, and well, that's my guess. But in the beta, it's a little bit hard to differentiate between the classes, except the Ogryn. And character creation, I only tried the male one, since I only basically made one character. So it's gritty and not cute, as well as it's supposed to be, since it's 40k, and it also helps convey the feeling. nobody's a supermodel here, so that's also very, very good. So the melee combat, I know in the first impression I said it was a bit clunky. I still feel like it's a bit clunky even after I've played a lot more games, but it gets less and less clunky the more that I played. So still needs optimization and such. Some hits or some swings with the weapons that should be hits actually aren't, and sometimes when I feel like I've missed, I still get a kill thing and something drops way outside of reach, and my guess is that it's because optimization and well, the CPU not updating properly, but so it's a little bit delay, and yeah, it's my guess, but unless that's it, well, it still needs work, however you see it. It's a very solid foundation, and well, if they're aiming for the same polish as Vermintide, I'm not that worried about it, but yeah. And the dash for the Zealot. There's some major problems with it. I mean, good baseline would be to just look at the dashes in Vermintide and figure it out, make it more like that. The fact that you can't dash, and when you jump down and try to dash, and it still takes your cooldown away, but you don't actually dash, and you actually get slower for a second or something. That's gonna need some polish too. Yeah. So the ranged combat, the guns feel different. They feel like they have their own spot. The shotgun feels powerful. The submachine gun feels like it's a quick dash in and out and do some damage, and it feels like it does what it's supposed to do, but it feels like it's short range and it conveys that feeling. So compared to the auto rifle, which feels better at medium ranges or longer ranges, I don't know what confines as medium to long range in this, since, well, we have a very, very small map pool right now, so open areas are and long distances aren't that much in the beta, at least, so we'll see about that. But it feels good. But the only downside is you actually need to get a few upgrades or a few new weapons, and the power level needs to rise a bit before you actually feel the difference. In the beginning, in the first game, it felt a little bit more samey. So, but I guess that's also a point that it's either I'm quite certain that they're gonna fix, or at least it's gonna be a problem for the first 5 levels, and then it's not gonna be a problem anymore. So the specials. We start with the sniper. I really liked the fact that you can't really do anything about him until you need to position yourself. With that said, on the higher difficulties, that might actually be a very big problem. So basically, Fatshark, be careful with the sniper. You still need to keep it dangerous and having the feeling of I can't do shit about this now. This is gonna be a very hard thing to counter. That feeling is actually good. That's the kind of game this needs to be. So I like that. And slow down from the grenades and the fire is a bit much. Would be better if there was more like Vermintide where you can actually move. I don't know if that's a bug because I didn't feel like it was every grenade that slowed you down. So I don't really know, but I noticed it. Also the fire on the floor from the flame guy also slowed you down sometimes. But yeah. Anyway, the flamer, it feels solid and it's visually different, so you can always tell that it's a flamer, what kind of threat you are currently facing when he's in visual range. So I think it's a very good baseline. So the Hound, I really like that he's fast and he's hard to hit, and that he's lower than the others, which means that he can actually run through a horde and actually be a danger. But at the same time, the pathfinding for it is a little bit too erratic. Either he jumps on you straight away, or he runs around the whole fucking map to get to you. And he slides a bit, so you can't anticipate his movements. Like you see here that he starts turning, but he still moves forward before he actually starts turning, and the other way around. So that might be an optimization issue, but that's what I noticed at least. Charger, also solid, very nice threat, very nice new type of threat, or well, new. It's a version of previously, I guess. Sometimes he grabs you when he shouldn't, sometimes he doesn't grab you when he shouldn't. That problem is also in Vermintide sometimes. So they're gonna have to be careful about that. Don't want to repeat that mistake. That's not fixed as of last time I played Vermintide, at least. So that's something to take into consideration. But other than that, I really like the fact that I really like the way they have built him. He's easy to distinguish too. And well, what do I have more on my list? Oh, the Bomber and the Grenadier. They're very hard to differentiate from both in between those two, and it's hard to differentiate them from the regular enemies. So a little bit more of a distinction. The bomber or the suicide bomber actually has a very good sound cue, so but it's still hard to spot him. Grenadier, the way he works is good because he throws grenades and then runs away. That means that you need to be on your toes, otherwise you might not have the option of dealing with him until he's actually gotten off another attack, which is good. So the net guy is both hard to hear and to spot, and he needs to be easier to find because his ability to end a run is so high that, yeah, I mean, it might have been me missing the sound for it or something, but I can't remember one time that I've heard him, and very few times where I have actually spotted him too, until he's actually basically fired up his weapon towards you. When he's facing you, he's easy to see. If he's running sideways, he's not. So, well, yeah, that's about what I got on the specials. So the next column, enemy variety and elites. The chain axe guys, the ones that can actually take a few hits. If you compare them to Vermintide and Chaos Warriors, which I guess they should be, or Maulers, well, both Chaos Warriors and Maulers have some attack patterns that you basically can't stagger them out of, but these guys, if you have 1 on you, or 2 on you, and maybe 3 on you, they are very easy to stagger lock, which takes away their threat basically. So make them harder to stagger lock, but maybe not too hard, because they still show up in the hordes and are a little bit harder to differentiate since they are shorter to they're closer in size to the horde than, let's say, Chaos Warriors to Skaven, or Maulers to Skaven or whatnot. So it's a bit of balance issue there. But if they're alone, they're basically no threat. So, and the pushback from last rifles, flashlights, are a little bit too high. I understand that they want to convey the feeling of you should feel that I really need to get into cover. But when you have a box in front of you, that's the closest cover, and you're also low on ammunition, or you need to actually get into melee range, then you should be persuaded to get into that cover. But right now, with the pushback, with the heavy pushback that they do, it's almost impossible to actually get into that cover. You have to backpedal to cover instead, which is a bit counterintuitive when you're trying to get closer to take them out, for example. Also, this guy on the screen right now, it's kind of hard to deal with by yourself. And there's no visual cue on when to actually strike or how to actually, well, do it well. I think that in one of the later clips that I'm gonna post, I actually figured it out, but still no visual clues for it, like the shield rats from Vermintide, for example, where you push and then attack, and you see that they're open for attack because their shield is way off, and you actually get the response each time you push him that he's basically losing his. And there's one of those net guys you saw there. It's not that different from the others until he actually aims at you. But yeah. So I tried to find the way to deal with the shielded ones, but might just have been too few games with them in, or too few games with them in that I've actually had to face them alone. So might be a mistake from me there. I don't know, but if I can make that mistake, others can do it too, especially those who haven't played Vermintide before. So maybe add something or a little, like he stumbles when you hit him, and you know that, like the big one there, right there on the screen, just earlier. He stumbles when you hit him. He loses his composure, which the shield guy doesn't, even though he might be taken aback a bit, but not in, well, not in the same way. It's not impactful enough to convey if you are actually doing something towards your progress of defeating your enemy, or if it's just, yeah, you hit him but didn't do anything. So yeah. Anyway, back to what I was saying. The seeking cover. I know the sprint glide should be your way of actually getting into cover, even towards them. It feels a bit insufficient in that, which is why I brought it up. So either it's one of three possibilities. Either the glide thing is insufficient, or the last rifle's pushback are a bit too powerful, or it could be just me being bad too, I guess. It was a short amount of time, so with the beta available, so might not have run out the kinks. You guys can tell me if you got other opinions on these things, and well, tell me if I played it wrong, basically, because I want to know as much as I can before this launches. And last thing about enemies, all the weapon swapping. Vermintide had the same thing previously. It still have a little bit of trouble from that when you double swap and such things. But the earlier problems it had with weapon swapping was that it should always prioritize to abort even if you're firing and try to switch your weapon, it should switch your weapon. It shouldn't lock you into you release it and then click it again. It should always switch from range to melee. That needs to be a thing. It is in Vermintide. They added it very many updates ago, but need to add it to this too. They're probably gonna, since, well, most of the inspiration is from Vermintide for many things in this game. And it's what they're good at. So I think it's fairly certain that they are gonna fix those things. It might take a few patches and take a while, because it's not that easy. But yeah. So other things in no particular order or no particular magnitude. So private lobbies, I guess it's gonna be in. It wasn't in the beta, but I'm fairly certain that they will add it, since Vermintide has it. The weapon stats and the weapon symbols and the flavor text around it. The flavor text is mostly missing, so it's very hard to value certain weapons when you're looking at stats. And, well, the power level is always a value, a baseline value, but it's hard to value when you have, let's say you have one weapon to deal with one threat and you want another one to deal with another, and then you don't want to be out of options when it comes to the third threat. So one of the weapons needs to do two things, or at least be good at one thing and not terrible at another, and then it's hard to value with the weapon stats and symbols if they have no explanation or such. And weapon stats, when you look at them, the damage for some weapon was the first one, but it wasn't the first one for another one when I looked at it. So the standard stuff that's for every single weapon should be in the same place, just so that it's easy to compare at a quick glance. If you're looking for a specific thing, then it should be easy to compare. When you click it and it has a fuller bar, it's easier to see if it's in the same place as the previous bar was than if it's another bar and it's a little bit more full. So that needs to be in the same place for the standardized stats for it, at least. Also, the special ammo for the shotgun, still don't know what it is, even though I tried to figure it out. There needs to be some flavor text there. And the talents, I only read through them a little bit, basically off screen, while waiting for a friend to join. But it feels like it's just a stat boost. It doesn't actually change your build that much. And Vermintide, early Vermintide 2 also had this problem, where you basically had a lot of classes had well, flat damage bonus or flat stat boosts. So you couldn't actually do build variety in the ways that you can nowadays in Vermintide. I am guessing that's also gonna be something that they're gonna expand upon after release when they see how people like to play and what the community values and wants to actually be able to do. But right now, this seemed a little bit bland and didn't offer that much build variety. I only looked at the Zealot, to be fair, so I haven't had an extensive look at the others. I do know that some others have pointed this out too, that are Vermintide veterans. So I'm guessing that it's the same for everybody, so not just the Zealot. The ammo counters for your allies and shield, or the toughness as it's called, the ability bar for allies needs to be there too. They didn't have it in Vermintide at the start, or they had it in a way that, well, there was a mod that basically made it baseline in the game because everybody had it, and after a while Fatshark actually included it in the base game. So that needs to be fixed or added, I guess. Also, the block indicators, which I figured out just there, where you saw that their grade, because it's something you blocked a hit from somewhere. That is a very good addition, and I really like it. It's gonna give you more control. Yeah. When you tag stuff, it's not visible. It's not visible enough. It needs to be more visible so that if someone tags something, you can actually see it. Vermintide is also a very good baseline for this, because it's big and bright and good outline. This is just a small little icon with a little thing around it instead of just a small little icon. So, yeah. And being able to have 2 buttons for one specific thing, like the weapon special, having that on a specific, or the blitz, for example, having that on a specific key on your keyboard and a specific key on your mouse. That's also something that I wish they will add. And something I've talked about in the other videos, the enemies sliding, and that you can pass through enemies. My guess is that it's still optimization and localization that is at fault here, so my guess it's gonna be fixed, but yeah. So that is basically my list. So for some good points, I really enjoyed the game. It is very satisfying, and the aesthetic is very pleasing. The ability to like you see here, I tried to keep the ranged guys in melee range so that they would actually have their melee weapons out. The way they've implemented that, the cover system that you can suppress enemies, it's all good. Needs some refinement. Everything needs some refinement, of course, but it's a very good addition to this. Well, I guess it's not a game series since, but I'm gonna call it that anyway because, well, Vermintide is. Well, this is a successor to Vermintide. It's just in another universe. It's the same type of game at least. So, but those additions are very welcome. The fact that you can. The fact that it's dark, but it's not Vermintide dark since you always have a flashlight with you. That's also very good. Also, one thing I forgot about the guns. The auto rifle, the iron sights, and how it's supposed to be either accurate or as accurate as you can be in a way that on a sci-fi weapon, but it is very, very, very limiting in your visibility. I really think that you should be able to see more. That's if you've watched me stream Vermintide earlier, you know I always play Barden with the with the uh, with the handgun instead of the crossbow, and I always play. And if I play Saltspire, I don't either use the crossbow. I always use, if I'm using a crossbow, I'm using the triple one. It's basically because it's hard to see, it takes too much screen space. So it's harder to be in control. So that's also something that you need to keep in mind. I mean, if we take this gun for example that's on screen right now, it's kind of small, so it's not really an issue, but when you actually aim down the sights, the character actually puts it a little bit sideways. I know it's not realistic, because that would actually throw off your aim quite badly, plus all weapons in reality actually have a searing distance, so you would actually shoot a little bit to the side, even though you're thinking you're holding it straight, just because it doesn't counter gravity and it doesn't counter the searing for it any longer. So, but it gives you the ability to see on the sides and above the weapon, so you can still actually see and react to threats. And right there, I tried to actually charge with the while carrying this. That works in Vermintide. It does not work here. I don't actually know which I prefer, but it's also a thing to I guess be mindful of if you want to play this later, unless they actually redo the charge. And oh, so that's basically my final thoughts on the beta. I do believe that most of the issues I've explained here is gonna get fixed, and we're gonna get even more fun and cool stuff. So I, for one, am thoroughly gonna enjoy this when this comes out. I think that this might be one of those kinds of games where, you know, I play a bunch of different games normally, but when this comes out, I think that's gonna be half a year where I'm only playing this. So overall, even though I might have been sounding like there's a lot of issues, I do believe that they're gonna fix them, and I do believe that it's gonna be a very, very good game. So I guess that's it for me. The rest of this video is just us basically running in with the last things while everybody reconnects, and then it's over. So not much happening. And one more thing actually. The dedicated server, like you see here, I'm the first to reconnect, but everybody will reconnect eventually. So having a dedicated server instead of having it be host-based, I don't even know what that's called, but I'm sure you guys do. That is also a very good plus, because that will mean that we can actually play with friends from overseas. So, well, I guess that's it. If you think I missed something, or that you think I'm wrong, do tell me in the comments, because I'm just a fellow human like you guys, so I make mistakes too. And I see things that aren't there, false positives and false negatives and what else. So if you found the way to deal with some of the threats that I highlighted, I'd love to hear about it. Anyway, that's it from me. I'll see you guys in the next one.